The time is now. Every day, decisions are being made that impact the delicate balance of life on this planet. We must learn from the past, be bold in the moment, and choose the proper path forward. This is Future Focus.
Hello, and welcome to Future Focus 2024. I'm your host, Isabella Fabbo, and today we have a number of guests here to discuss some of the issues we are facing with technology and our media environment. Social media is a very big deal nowadays. Many experts have concerns about its effects on younger generation. Kids and teens are exposed to social media from a very young age, making it a key factor in their development. What many people might not know, though, is that the impact of social media is different for girls and boys. Here with me now is Beatrice Lovato to tell us more. Thank you, Beatrice, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, as you said, research shows that girls and boys have different attitudes towards social media, which means that they face different problems related to it. While boys can be addicted to social media, girls can also be emotionally overwhelmed by it. They can take it too seriously and can see where the digital world ends and the real one begins. While platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat can offer connection and creativity, they can also pose significant challenges to mental health and self-esteem. Social media often presents a highlight reel of people's lives, perfect photos, glamorous vacations, and seemingly flawless appearances. For many teen girls, this creates an impossible standard to meet. Research shows that a significant number of girls feel pressure to look perfect online, leading to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. As social media has become integral to daily life, researchers have studied its effects, revealing concerning negative impacts on younger generations. These include new physical and verbal tics, cyberbullying, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, dysmorphia, eating disorders, negative body image, a drive for thinness, and a desire for cosmetic surgery. These issues well covered in The Social Dilemma, an American docudrama film released in 2020 that explores the dangerous impact of social media on society and individuals. In this regard, although not explicitly, the movie seems to hint that the character who is most addicted to and overwhelmed by social media is the 13-year-old core of the family. This is highlighted in a specifically particular scene. In the scene, the girl posts a selfie but receives no feedback, prompting her to take another with filters. This time, she gets a flood of likes and compliments, making her smile. However, her mood shifts again when she receives a negative comment. This is a perfect portrait of what happens in real life. As proof of this, research found that age does not have an effect on the impact that social media has on teens, but gender does. Females are much more likely to experience mental health problems than males. When scrolling through social media, teens are looking at various types of content, including posts from friends and family, updates from celebrities and influencers, and targeted ads from brands. When it comes to what they themselves are posting, though, boys and girls differ in the type of content they're putting out into the world and their emotional attachment to the content they are posting. While boys lean more towards sharing things that are funny or entertaining, girls are really using social media to connect with other people. A lot of teens use this space to present themselves how they want to be seen, but there is a pressure for girls to be worried about how others are going to perceive them. In this context, one of the interviewees of The Social Dilemma, Jonathan Haidt, a social psychologist at NYU Stern School of Business, is actively involved in bringing up the concerns of mental health in relation to social media, especially on young girls.
If you look at prepubescent girls going through puberty, posting photos of themselves for strangers to rate and comment on. There is no way to make this okay. There is no way that this is not going to be devastating to an entire generation of girls.
In a conversation with Paul Kelly for The Australian, he carefully talks about the reasons this phenomenon hinges on.
Girls and boys have different motives on average. Boys are more concerned with agency motives, which is about action and adventure and doing things. Girls are more concerned with communion motives, which is about connection, talking with other people. And while video games are able to hook boys by appealing to their agency motives, social media is really fine-tuned to hook girls right, for their desire for connection and social knowledge. And so while it appears to offer connection and social knowledge, it actually gives them something that is not satisfying. For a girl to grow up on the stage where everyone is focused on her looks is a terrible thing for the girl. When girls grow up on Instagram in particular, they are performing and they're being judged ruthlessly and relentlessly on their appearance. So for a variety of reasons, this is just much more harmful to girls. Girls use social media more than boys. They care about what's happening there more than boys. They're more affected by visual social comparison of their looks. Also, girls share emotions more than boys do. And so when a girl is anxious and depressed, the research shows that this spreads to her friends more than when a boy is anxious or depressed.
While social media is a significant part of today's culture, it's vital to address its potential harms. By fostering supportive environments and encouraging self-acceptance, we can help our teen girls navigate this challenging digital world.
That was really eye-opening, Beatrice. I feel like a lot of the times when the issue of social media's impact on children and teens is discussed, it's done so in a very general and unisex way. But like you've showed us, that's not necessarily the case. And despite what the research says, many young girls are still inclined to use these digital platforms for fear of missing out. So what do you think we can do about that?
I think it's essential for peers, educators, and parents to openly talk about the harms of social media. So encouraging young girls to embrace their authentic selves rather than a filtered version is crucial. So in other words, like promoting digital literacy and teaching young girls about the curated nature of social media is a good way to help them navigate these platforms more healthily.
I completely agree. Thank you, Beatrice.
Thank you.
We've now seen how social media can impact the mental health of children and teens, but what about the impact on content creators? Jashandeep Singh Gill is here to tell us more about the costs of going viral. Jashan?
Hi. Actually, certainly there might be a significant emotional cost, and anxiety, burnout, and stress can result from the pressure to keep one's status viral. Having to continuously create interesting material and meet public expectation can be overwhelmed from the creators.
Good morning, everyone. In today's world, everyone is fond of presenting them socially without noticing the darker side of social media platform. For that only, we are diving into an important topic, data privacy on TikTok. With the popularity, it is crucial to understand how your data is handled and what it is meant for you. First of all, TikTok is a social media platform that allows users to create and share short videos often set to the music. While it offers a fun and creative outlet, it also raises a significant question about your data privacy. TikTok collects a wide range of data from its users, including your personal information such as your name, email address, and your phone number. With that, it collects your device information, detail about your device, including your IP address, mobile carrier, and other operating systems. Therefore, usage data collect information about how you interact with the app, including your video views and like. Moreover, and lastly, location data. Your approximately location data is based on your device setting. This data helps TikTok personalize your content and target advertisement, but it also raises a concern question about how this information is stored and shared. There are several privacy concerns associated with TikTok. First of all is a data security. Question has been raised about how securely your data is stored and whether it could be accessed by unauthorized parties. Thirdly, third-party sharing. Users often worry about their data being shared with advertisers and other third parties. Thirdly, the government surveillance. Given TikTok ownership by a Chinese company, there are a fear about a potential government surveillance and data accessed by the foreign entities. As a TikTok user, it is important to know your rights. Firstly, the privacy setting. You can manage your scene, your content, and how your data is used by adjusting privacy setting in the app. Secondly, data access. TikTok allow you to request a copy of your data that you have been used. Thirdly, the account management. You can delete your account and by extension your data, although it may take some time for all information to remove from their server. Thirdly, to protect your data while using TikTok. Consider these best practices. First of all is limit permission. Only grant permission to the necessary apps so that it would function properly. Be mindful content. Remember that anything you post can be seen by others. So think before you share. Regularly review settings. Check and update your privacy settings frequently to ensure they align with your preferences. Inclusion that While TikTok can be an enjoyable platform for creating and connection, it is essential to aware of a data privacy issue surrounded it. Stay informed, protect your information, and use the app wisely.
So, as you showed us, it can be overwhelming to produce the kind of content that keeps users engaged. But what does that sensationalism do to users, though?
Oh, as a creator, it put a shock value or amusement over the accuracy of or real news. Sensational may hide the important information. Public perception of the event may be distorted as a result, leading to unwanted fear or outrages.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a cause for concern. So thank you, Jashan.
Welcome.
Focusing on the popular social media platform TikTok. Welcome, Sara.
Thanks, Bella. While many enjoy its entertaining short videos, TikTok gathers a significant amount of data to tailor a unique For You page for each user. But where does this data go, and just how much information is being collected? Is TikTok really for you, or as several American politicians assert, are we just under China's thumb?
TikTok has taken the world by storm, captivating millions with its short videos. However, scrutiny is growing over how the platform collects and uses user data. The app gathers extensive information, including users' interactions, location, device type, and even direct messages. While TikTok claims it doesn't sell personal data, it shares information with third parties, like advertisers and service providers, to enhance user experience and target ads more effectively. U.S. lawmakers have expressed significant concerns, calling for investigations and even proposing bans on the app due to its Chinese ownership. TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is based in China. Lawmakers are concerned that the Chinese government could use that connection to access U.S. user data. Josh Hawley is a member of the U.S. Senate who has worked with big tech cases including Google and Facebook. He says there are severe risks to user privacy and national security.
Here's the problem with TikTok as it exists now. It is owned by a Chinese parent company that has direct ties to the Chinese Communist Party.
Klon Kitchen has a background in U.S. intelligence and is the Director of Technology Policy at the Conservative Heritage Foundation. He describes the real danger behind the situation.
Imagine you woke up tomorrow morning and you saw a news report that China had distributed 100 million sensors around the United States, and that any time an American walked past one of these sensors, this sensor automatically collected off of your phone your name, your home address, your personal network, who you're friends with, your online viewing habits, and a whole host of other pieces of information. Well, that's precisely what TikTok is. It has 100 million US users. It collects all of that information.
Lawmakers are pushing for stricter regulations on data privacy, emphasizing the need for transparency and how apps like TikTok handle user information. But TikTok rebuts, saying that data is safe as it is stored on U.S. grounds. TikTok CEO Shou Chu said the company created Project Texas, a corporate restructuring effort to separate its U.S. operations and user data from its Chinese parent company.
What we did was we built an unprecedented project where we localized American data to be stored on American soil by an American company, overseen by American personnel.
Vanessa Papas was the chief operating officer at TikTok. She ensures that data is not shared with the Chinese government.
TikTok does not operate in China. The US data is stored here in the US and with backup in Singapore, and we have strict data access controls. If a government were to request data, we will put that in our transparency report and tell you, and certainly the Chinese government has not requested data, and if they did, it would be an emphatic no.
As discussions continue, users must be informed about the data they share and its possible implications. That's my report on TikTok's data collection practices and its ties to China. For Future Focus, this is Sara Anastasi. Thank you.
This is a very important topic, Sara, and as we've seen, there's a lot of discourse surrounding TikTok's motives and what the truth really is. So what can you say about the future of the app?
So what we know is that TikTok does collect US user data, and they will use it if they want to. Back in 2022, there was an investigation that came out where TikTok admitted to using their data to spy on American journalists. There were several reports about this. I know CNN did an article about it, and The Guardian also. And basically, they said that TikTok used their data to track the journalists and use their IP addresses. And so this is really scary, because we do know that they have that information and they will use it. And also back in earlier this year, President Biden said that he is going to ban TikTok unless it is sold within the year. So be sure to keep an eye out for the legal outcome on that. And in the meantime, maybe consider deleting TikTok or going through your privacy settings on any other social media platforms, because we got to stay safe out there. So
we definitely do. It gives a lot of food for thought for our audience. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Our privacy isn't the only concern with TikTok, or any social media for that matter. Kishore Kumar is joining me in the studio to tell us about the issues with using TikTok as a source of news. Is TikTok making news more accessible, or is it blurring the lines between fact and fiction? Thanks for joining me, Kishore.
Yes. TikTok is making news more accessible by delivering it in an engaging bit-sized formats that resonate with young audiences. However, it is also blurring the lines between fact and fiction, as misinformation can spread just as quickly as credible news, raising concerns about accuracy and critical analysis.
What's up?
TikTok, a short-form video hosting service owned by Chinese internet company. It hosts user-submitted videos which can range in duration from 3 seconds to 60 minutes.
There it goes. There it goes.
I'm turning it off.
Turn it on.
We're hearing declarations of all-out war coming from
TikTok, known for viral challenges, is now a major source of news for younger audiences.
More Americans, especially young adults, are regularly getting news on TikTok.
For young people, the TikTok platform is like digital nicotine. It's an addictive, dangerous product that lures young people into it, keeps their eyes glued to their screens for as long as possible.
A recent Pew Research study found that nearly 1 in 4 adults under 30 use TikTok for news. But while it's fast and accessible, concerns about misinformation are growing. TikTok's algorithm shows users content tailored to their interests, which means they often see news that aligns with their views.
Breaking U.S. news you probably missed today.
While this boosts engagement, it also creates echo chambers, isolating users from diverse perspectives. Despite the risk, TikTok has made news more accessible to younger audiences. It gives quick, engaging news updates and amplifies stories that traditional media might overlook. As TikTok grows as a news source, it's important for users to remain critical and aware of the content they consume. For the Future Focus, I'm Kishore Kumar Venketaraman. Thank you.
This is a really important issue, as you've showed us. So how can users develop better digital literacy?
Yeah, mainly for the students, what I suggest is follow the local journalism first, because instead of going to the bigger platform at the beginning, it will be a gradual shift for them to understand what media is, and that will be helpful for them to understand about the trends and the techniques what media follows, because that gives a clear understanding for the people, for the young audiences, what is happening in the world. So I guess that is the main concern.
Mm-hmm. And as we're going to get into later, going to local journalism is definitely should be a top priority for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to continue this discussion of using social media for news with Aliyah Huntley. Thanks for joining me, Aliyah.
Thanks for having me. Growing up, my family and I, we received news the old-fashioned way, by television or even sometimes listening to the radio. That was the norm for getting your main source of news. Now, with technology being extremely advanced and everyone essentially having social media, you log in to check your timeline and your news is right there. Local citizens are sharing breaking news before journalists can even get a story. So, what does that mean for traditional journalism?
With technology becoming so advanced in current times, and everyone utilizing social media for everything, including the news, there seems to be two questions that continue to reoccur. One, is social media taking over traditional journalism? And two, can anyone be a journalist? I had the opportunity to speak with Eddie Dowd, a news reporter for the NBC CBS station in Hawaii, to get his take on journalism when he first started versus journalism now. Now, you've been a news reporter for going on 10 years now, correct?
Correct, yep.
All right, so how do you think media has changed when you first started in your career versus now?
Well, I remember when I started doing student reporting in college at our college TV station. Obviously social media was a thing. iPhone footage was a thing, but the cameras were not as sophisticated and high tech, the phone cameras, as the ones we have now. I remember filming like a protest at our school with an iPad, and the video was like okay, but it was like not like the best. It got the job done. I remember back then, 10 years ago, the preferred method was an actual professional camera.
While speaking with Eddie, he mentioned how citizens sent in videos they filmed on their phones for reporters to use.
The use and the airing of iPhone video and being used for our stories has really increased. And if you look at our newscast, some stories are just completely iPhone in terms of what people send in.
I wanted to get Eddie's take on the advancement of journalism and social media. Do you think social media is taking over traditional journalism?
I definitely do. In fact, so much so that it's not necessarily that I'm doing it now because I really like that method. It's more that I want to make sure I have a job in 10, 20 years. And I just see the writing on the wall with the medium that people are going to get their information. They want it now. They're not waiting for when the news is coming on.
As the interview continued, Eddie shared why it is important for him to stay up to date with the new ways of journalism.
I think for me, it's just seeing the writing on the wall and that how do I ensure that I still have something to bring to the table, not if, but when traditional media is no longer how we know it.
In an article titled Everyone is a Journalist, The Truth of Social Media, written by Yu Rong Lim, it states, journalism is no longer something that must be studied in order to be pursued. Anyone can become a journalist because anyone has the tools to broadcast news information to the public. If that is true, then it is safe to say our traditional way of journalism is slowly fading out and will look a lot different in the near future. For Future Focus, this is Aliyah Huntley.
Aliyah, given everything you've reported on, do you think that being a citizen journalist can be helpful?
In some ways, yes. Citizen journalists, they can put out information and news a lot more rapidly. However, the downside to that is sometimes they don't always reference check, and that will cause cases where we end up getting fake news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of pros and cons, and it's something we're just going to have to keep an eye out, in our new media environment. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We know that AI algorithms are affecting the quality of news on social media today. But what happens when AI becomes a part of news productions? Kaarthik Ganesan is here to explain. KG, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah. Why do we need journalists to sit and read news from the teleprompter when AI could do more efficient? But according to Global Investigative Journalism Network, artificial intelligence is not nearly intelligent as it could replace human anchors, but it could reduce AI news anchors. According to Global Investigative Journalism Network, they say the truth is that artificial intelligence is not nearly as intelligent. It would need to replace you. AI newsreader is not going to replace you. It's just going to reduce your work. To explain in more detail, I would just say and ask you, why do journalists just need to sit and read newspaper from the teleprompter? Instead, they can work more efficiently to gather news, or they can just prepare for debate, where these all can be done by humans and not by AI's news readers. Hi Femi, now you are working in News 12 automated news channel where you have fully automated control rooms and cameras. Do you think AI news anchors can be launched in your channel?
Thank you, KG. Well, I think it's a very, it's a distinct possibility, perhaps in the coming years. News production has a lot of AI infused into it at the moment. The possibility of having AI anchors is very real.
Do you think the news channels can bring profit because of bringing AI anchors, making a control room automated by instead of working six peoples, now we are working only two peoples. So
Mm.
bringing AI anchors, will it bring profit to the company?
Oh,
Or
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that seems to be the underlying reason. I mean, part of why many of these companies keep embracing AI and AI technologies again and again. It cost. It reduces, personal cost. For instance, in some of those medium-sized organizations, you have only the director working with an automated rundown, and then that's also paired with with a hardware, and then the director does all of the job of the cameraman, the job of the audio guy, the job of every other person. So instead of having like a 10-man team, you have only the director with the talent and the producer. It makes the process smooth, and it makes more profit for the organization. And if the organization decides to have AI anchors also, you can work 24 hours, with no one taking rest, no one taking break. AI does not need to take rest, does not need to take a break. That the AI anchors will be a common thing. You still need to have the human anchor, read the news. There could be breaking news, there could be unexpected situations, and that's not to say that it's not possible with the AI, because even with the news productions, with the news operations that we run at the moment, even with breaking news, the AI processes for tweaking the rundown, for automating the processes are available. It accommodates all of those instances. But I just I'm a bit not totally comfortable with the idea of having AI anchors taking over our airways. But I'm very sure I agree with the fact that it's a possibility, that it's already being used, but
Yeah.
not in
Some
official.
channels are already started using, but it's not fully implemented. They are
Not
just working on it.
Yeah. So it's in terms of the corporate side, in terms of profitability, it's a known fact. It brings more money, it helps the companies to save more money, and it makes operations go smoother.
Yep, thanks. For me, let's see. Hopefully, the AI anchor starts coming in the upcoming generation very soon.
Yeah.
Let's see on the television channels.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, sure, evidently, well, when we'll see it in the coming years, and let's see, maybe you'll be the one behind the scene, tweaking all of these lines.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for me for coming and giving this interview.
Thank you. You're welcome, KJ.
AI newsreader is not going to replace your job or replace you. It's just going to reduce your work pressure. The point bringing AI newsreader is to make journalists work more efficient, to gather news rather than to sit in front of a teleprompter and read the news.
I think many people would be concerned to find out that AI anchors are even a possibility. Do you think it's possible for them to be launched in the upcoming year?
Yeah, AI anchors can be launched in upcoming years, because nowadays we are having automated control rooms and automated cameras. By bringing automated AI anchors, we can make the news run for 24 hours, and journalists can work on bringing more information news instead of just sitting in front of teleprompter and reading a news. It could be helpful for them to gather news.
Yeah, I think this takes like the whole evolving news industry to a new level. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. We've seen how our new media environment has reshaped how many people get their news, and even how it's affected news itself. So where does that leave journalism? Meghana Jagarlamudi is with me to discuss the decline of local journalism. Thank you.
Hi. The loss of local journalism affects the balance of power that holds local governments, corporations, and organizations responsible. So, in the absence of reliable sources, false information can spread more quickly, and voters may stop participating in local politics. According to studies, areas without strong local news channels have low voter turnout and civic participation, which affects the democratic process.
Humans, we're human, and one of the things that's kind of embedded in our DNA is this desire to tell stories and know what's going on.
Local journalism is rapidly diminishing due to the overwhelming influence of national news outlets and social media platforms. As more people are turning to these platforms, leaving local newsrooms struggling.
And when a local news outlet shuts down, you lose not only that reporting on those key issues at city council meetings, or whether it be local protests that might not be covered by anything else, no cable news, no national news outlet, no state outlet, but only those local outlets. And you also lose a watchdog.
This shift means that stories go uncovered, resulting in a less informed public. Once a vital pillar of community is now being overshadowed by sensationalized headlines and viral stories that often lack depth and relevance.
Most towns used to have a local newspaper that was published, and many of those newspapers have gone away or they've been swallowed up by larger companies. And now they're either part of the Gannett chain or they're part of advanced newspapers. And their coverage tends to be centralized rather than localized.
The decline of local journalism means that many important issues are no longer receiving the attention they deserve. This has far-reaching implications for democracy, as an uninformed public is less able to engage in civic matters or demand accountability from their leaders.
Shift in local journalism from these local weekly newspapers to online hyperlocal sites that are 24/7. And some might think that's an improvement because people get their news quicker. But personally, I think it's more important to have things reported completely than quickly.
The message here is really clear, is that we need to support local news as a society to ensure that not only is civic engagement continue to increase, that people are engaging with their government and with their neighbors and with their city, but also that the flow of information continues, and that we understand the importance of local journalism as documenting local history that might not be recorded elsewhere, that events that might not have any other reporting other than that local journalist on the ground, by him or herself, and that in order to do those things, we need to support local journalism.
As we move forward in this digital age, we must ensure to inform, engage, and empower public. We must support journalists who continue to bring vital local stories to our attention. Local journalism is not just part of our past, it is essential to our future. For Future Focus, Meghana Jagarlamudi.
This is a crucial time for everyone to be supporting local journalism. So what can people do?
There are many ways. For example, subscribe to local newspapers, share local stories with friends and families, advocate for government policies for institutions, local institutions which are struggling. So just support local journalism.
Thank you, Meghana.
Thank you so much.
We've highlighted some key issues in our digital landscape here on Future Focus today. We want to leave you with the reminder to stay media literate and advocate for the digital future you want, because change is possible. We hope you find yourself better informed on these topics, because after all, we are your local journalism.
Local journalism is crucial in keeping our communities well informed. Many say it's a cornerstone in our democracy. With the advent of a new media landscape ruled by tech giants, local journalism seems to be dying, and that's something we should all be concerned about.
A democracy is a government of the people. People are the ultimate source of power and authority. A great local newsroom acts like a mirror. Its journalists see the community and reflect it back. That information is empowering, seeing, knowing, understanding. This is how good decisions are made.
A 2022 report by Northwestern University shows that since 2005, the United States lost over a fourth of its newspapers, leaving too many communities without any source of local news. The newsrooms that continue to survive only employ an average of 6 reporters.
Local journalism has been through the ringer in the past 20 years in this country. I don't know the exact numbers, but my goodness,
they've been making do as best they can with an absolute fraction of the infrastructure that used to be in place. And it's a tragedy. And a lot of stories go unreported or underreported. And I bet there's a lot of really sketchy little small town politicians somewhere out there. It's like picturing something from a Stephen King novel here, getting away with a bunch of stuff because there aren't enough local journalists. Absolutely.
Local journalism can't keep up with the profit-driven business model created by big tech companies. More and more, readers are turning towards free social media for their news that often is not fact-checked. So how can local journalism survive?
Well, I work for a nonprofit. People who work at the Connecticut Mirror, which is nobody would question the best news source in Connecticut, they work for a nonprofit. You can be a nonprofit. We never made a profit doing this anyway. At least people like me haven't. I mean, people way at the top have. But, we've never made a profit doing this anyway. Why not make it a nonprofit? Why not make it something that has a completely different model of a completely different financial model?
There have been many successful attempts to save journalism on a local level. Local communities have funded their newspapers themselves, like the Morning Sun in Pittsburgh, Kansas. But when the financial struggles became too much, Pittsburgh State University stepped in for support. Other universities across the United States have acquired local newspapers, like Sacred Heart University funding the Easton Courier. Professor Marie Soma, who leads the Sacred Heart journalism class for the Easton Courier, says locally the print edition of the Easton Courier ceased in 2018 because of loss of advertising dollars. She also says Sacred Heart funding the local newspaper means that we can continue to provide local quality journalism that serves the Easton community by being an independent watchdog of authority. While local journalism continues to take a hard hit, it can survive with the right changes. The business model can change to benefit newspapers and reporters. Tech giants can afford to lose out on some profit so that local journalism can flourish again. Our democracy cannot be profit-driven. It has to be information-driven. That can only happen with successful newsrooms and dedicated reporters. Our democracy relies on our local journalism. For Future Focus, this is Isabella Fabbo.
Thank you for tuning in to our special production. I'm Isabella Fabbo.